So the joint military drills between South Korea, the U.S., and Japan, and the tabletop exercises between Seoul and Washington will take place throughout this week. For more on this, we're joined today by Dr. Brian Myers, Professor of International Studies at Dongseo University. Dr. Myers, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
So this joint drill comes after we saw leaders of North Korea, China, and Russia meet in Beijing for China's military parade. What might be behind this week's military exercises?
Well, we knew there was going to be an AIRMACE exercise this year, and we've known since July that Freedom Edge was coming. We didn't know the dates until this month because countries announce the dates of exercises as late as they can. So this stuff was not suddenly conceived as a response to what we saw in Beijing, but I think America is happy to frame things that way. Now, the greater motivation behind the trilateral exercises is to contain and deter the so-called autocratic alliance between Russia, China, and North Korea, while AIRMACE is a bilateral American-Korean drill that's meant to protect South Korea better against the North Korean threat specifically. So the motivation behind these two exercises is a little bit different.
I see, and North Korea's Kim Yo-jong also said the exercises could lead to serious consequences. How likely do you think it is that the North might respond to these drills with something like a missile launch?
Well, let's put it this way. If a big ICBM launch has been planned anyway, then the regime may frame it as a response to Freedom Edge and AIRMACE. But the usual North Korean response to exercises like this is to fire a salvo of short-range ballistic missiles either toward the West Sea or the East Sea. In other words, pretty small-scale stuff. Now, we may see that kind of activity this week, but I don't think the regime is going to rush the launch of a really expensive and significant missile just to make a show of defiance.
Right, and last week, Kim Jong-un oversaw a test of their new missile engine that could be used in their latest ICBM, the Hwasong-20. How would you assess North Korea's nuclear capabilities at this point?
Well, even if that new engine works fine when the Hwasong-20 is tested, it's basically an evolution from the earlier ICBM. So it's not a revolutionary jump. It's just another headache for Washington because it means North Korea would be able to strike anywhere in American territory even more capably. Now, when it comes to what the country can do on the nuclear front, the experts say that there are still weaknesses there in the command and control infrastructure. They point to questions surrounding re-entry vehicles. In other words, can these warheads really survive re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere? But we can be pretty sure the North has at least 50 warheads, maybe as many as 90 or 100. It has a wide range of delivery systems. So while North Korea is not in Russia's league by any means, it's a serious nuclear power, whether we like it or not.
Right. And U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau was here in Seoul over the weekend. How do you see the timing of his visit, and what do you think it could mean?
Well, I think the main goal of this visit was to assuage South Koreans' anger over the ICE raid in Georgia, which you just talked about here on Arirang. And I think the Americans also want to calm the South Koreans down about what people here consider to be unreasonable American demands in regard to trade. Now, Landau expressed regret over what happened in Georgia. I don't think the MAGA base in America is going to like that expression of regret. But in Korean political culture, I think that apologies often result in demands for more apologies. They often have the opposite effect to the one intended. But in any case, this alliance between America and South Korea is in worse shape than at any time I can remember in the past 20 years. I mean, even conservatives here are angry and complaining about how America has been treating this country. So while these military exercises may go off without a hitch, I think it's going to take more than a deputy Secretary of State to patch things up.
I see. I guess we'll have to see if the bilateral relations do improve in the near future. All right, Professor Meyer, thank you so much for your insight. As always, we appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.